Welcome back, all my fight fans. Today, I'm going to be giving you guys my predictions for UFC 313 in Las Vegas, Nevada, coming up March 8th. I'm incredibly excited for this fight card. The main event and co-main event are absolutely spectacular. I can't wait to break down every single fight for you guys today. As always, I'll have timestamps in the descriptions if you guys want to skip around and go right to the main card. If you guys like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm. With that all out of the way, let's get into the predictions. So, kicking us off with the first fight of the night, we have a fight that I don't even think is going to be happening. I got to be completely honest with you guys. When I do these videos a couple weeks before the pay-per-view, I sometimes don't trust the UFC website. I'm going off of the UFC's actual official website right now. And some of these fights, I don't even know if they're going to be happening. The first one, I'm like 100% sure it's not happening because it's Chris Gutierrez versus Jean Matsumoto. And this guy just fought yesterday. At the time of recording this video, he just fought on the fight night of Cejudo versus Song, and he was in a bloody war. So I'm not too sure how exactly he's supposed to be fighting in like a week or two. I'm just going to skip this fight and pretend like it's not happening. Again, if I miss any fights or any fights that I cover today don't happen on the night of the fights, I sincerely apologize, but I'm going off of the UFC website. And it's just the way it is when I make these prediction videos a couple weeks before the fight. But the next fight that we'll talk about is a middleweight bout between Djorden Santos and Ozzy Diaz. That's a sick name. Not the most familiar with either one of these fighters. I know Santos was coming off of a Contender Series performance. And Ozzy Diaz is 9-3. He has 7 wins by knockout, 2 wins by submission, and 6 in the first round. So because he has a little bit more experience, I'm going to take him to win. The other guy coming off the Contender Series, I'm going to be keeping an eye on him as well because a lot of these Contender Series fighters are showing up and showing out. There seems to be a better alumni gathering from the Contender Series than Tough. I know Tough's been going on a lot longer, so they still have more champions, but damn, has the Contender Series produced some amazing fighters. I will have a full video out very soon. I just want to watch the fight between Ruffy and Bobby Green first, but very soon I will have a video out covering the history of the Fighting Nerds Gym and how they've come about, why are they special, and how they might be the most dominant gym in the UFC, or in MMA, I should say, right now. I think they're going to dominate the UFC. And yeah, I'll have that video out soon. I just want to see Ruffy knock out Bobby Green first and see how that fight goes down. But the next fight that we have is the headliner for the early prelims. It's a featherweight bout between Marion Santos and Francis Marshall. Now, Francis Marshall is 8-2. He has 1 win by knockout, 4 wins by submission, and 2 in the first round, whereas Marion is 15-1. He's on a 2-fight win streak, and he has 8 wins by knockout. And I've seen him fight a couple times, and he's one of those fighters, like that Malik guy who just fought on the Cejudo Song card. He's one of those fighters that has like a creepy type of power where you're like, damn, he could knock you out in one punch, but you don't know which punch it's going to be. I'm going to pick that guy to win by knockout because I just have a feeling like he's probably going to be a monster in that featherweight division. That's hard to say, though, when you have guys like Jean Silva and so many great fighters coming up in those rankings. The featherweight division is really stacked right now. But I'm going to take that guy to win by knockout. I'm going to go first-round knockout for Marion Santos. The fight before, I'm taking Ozzy Diaz by decision. So that concludes the early prelims. Let's move on to the regular prelims. Kicking off our prelims, we have a welterweight bout between Alex Morono and Carlos Leal. So Alex Morono, he should be a fan favorite by this point. This guy always puts on a show. He always brings war to the octagon. He is 24-11, though. Not the greatest record on the planet. But he has 6 wins by knockout, 7 by submission, 11 of those coming in the first round. Whereas Carlos Leal is 21-6, 10 wins by knockout, 2 by submission, 9 in the first round. So being that he has a few more knockouts, being that Morono sometimes leaves his chin on the line, I'm going to take Leal. I also think his last fight versus Faraka Dinov, I think that was a close fight too. Morono he's tough, man. He's an absolute ogre when he gets in there. He does not mind slinging it out. He's got a great chin too, but I'm going to take Carlos Leal by first round knockout. We're taken quite a few first-round knockouts here for the Brazilians. The next fight, too, a middleweight bout between Bruno Ferreira and Armen Petrosyan. This is a beautiful fight. Armen Petrosyan's an elite kickboxer. This should be a back-and-forth war. I'm predicting this to maybe be fight of the night. But my final prediction, I mean, Bruno Silva's 12-2, 9 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, 10 in the first round. That's a pretty good ratio for first-round finishes compared to Armen, who is 9-4, didn't have the best UFC career so far, losing to, Shara Bullet most recently. I'm sure many of you guys remember that fight, of course. He has 6 wins by knockout, 3 in the first round. I have to go with Bruno, man. He's just, I think, younger, faster, more explosive. He's got more power in his hands. I think he gets this done by first-round knockout. I don't know what it is. It might just be because that Song versus Cejudo fight card was so amazing. We just had knockout after knockout after knockout. I think it took like 7 or 8 fights until we got to like the first decision. It took a while until we got to a decision in that fight card. So it's just knockout after knockout after knockout. So I'm kind of feeling that right now, and that might be why I'm calling so many fights by knockout. But I hope it happens regardless. Next up, we have Bruno Silva versus Joshua Van. Bruno Silva is an elite fighter. He's 14-6. 14-6-2, I should say. 6 wins by knockout, 4 by submission, 4 in the first round. He recently lost to Manel Kopp, who is quite a good fighter himself, so I don't take that win as too bad. Joshua Van, on the other hand, he had a win over Djorden in December of 2024. He is 12-2. 6 wins by knockout, 2 by submission, 2 in the first round. And another thing to highlight about Joshua Van is he is a 23-year-old. So he's only 23 and he's already ranked number 15 at flyweight. This could be possibly a future champ, maybe a future GOAT. Now, I say that lightly because it's hard to predict future GOATs. I made a video on why I think Ilia Topuria could maybe become a future GOAT, but that prediction's looking better and better by the day. Joshua Van being so young, having such a great record, he fights with so much ferocity. I think that he could be a champ. To be a GOAT, he has the age on his side, and his record's not too bad, but it takes a lot to become a GOAT. And to dethrone Demetrius Johnson is going to take a tremendous amount of title defenses. So I won't be too hasty on that front. But Joshua Van, needless to say, is a kid that I'm looking out for to be at the top of the flyweight division, maybe by the end of the year. I think with a couple good fights, he could be maybe in the top 10, possibly even top 5 by the end of the year. Flyweight's not the most stacked division. Doesn't take too many wins to get a title shot. So we'll see what happens with Joshua Van. I'm a big fan of the kid. Definitely highlight this fight on the prelims. And then we have our prelim headliner. Really weird to see Curtis Blaydes on the prelims, I must say. It's weird. Having a number 5 ranked heavyweight on the prelims, I don't know, times are different, man. That heavyweight division, besides John and Tom, not much going on there. Curtis Blaydes versus, I don't even know who this Russian guy is, but it looks like he has 2 fights on the Contender Series. I believe that's what I'm reading here. He's 32 years of age, and don't have much more than that. Rizvan Kuniev. Now, you guys know me. I like Russians. I also like wrestlers, so it's hard for me to bet against Blaydes. I really like his wrestling, but I'm taking Russians all day long. And since this guy's fighting the number 5 ranked heavyweight on like his UFC debut, I'm assuming that he's really good, and I'm assuming if he gets the win here, he might be looking at a title shot, maybe by the end of the year. Who knows with that Jones and Tom fight, if that falls out or what happens with that. We don't know yet. So that should be a fun fight to watch. Heavyweight fights can be boring, but with Curtis Blaydes in there and this Russian who looks like an absolute tank, I think this should be a fun one for our prelim headliners. Let's move on to the main card. Kicking off our main card, we have an absolutely spectacular bout between King Green. I'm never going to get used to that. He's Bobby in my eyes. So Bobby Green versus Mauricio Ruffy. You can't name yourself king and expect me to take it seriously. This fight, obviously, at lightweight, and I'm obviously taking Ruffy. If you guys know, you know. The fighting nerds are taking over. This is going to be their year, man. We had Jean Silva just yesterday, time of recording this video, with a knockout, a vicious knockout in the first round. Last year, I think Prates, who had like 4 knockouts, I think Silva had 2 or 3. Ruffy had a couple wins. You have Cow on the rise. So I'm going to have that video out soon on the Fighting Nerds. Just know I can't wait to make that video and break that down for you guys. They have a really unique gym, and some of you guys might not know, but Cal is one of the founding members of the gym. Him and his coach actually helped found that gym. So Mauricio Ruffy, maybe one of the weakest fighters out of the gym, at least in the UFC right now, but that doesn't mean that he's a bad fighter. He is a tremendous fighter. That just goes to show you how great the other three are. So Ruffy, he's 11-1, 6-fight win streak, 10 wins by knockout, 7 of which were in the first round. He fights a lot like Conor McGregor. He blades his stance, and he has tremendous power. One-shot knockout power. His fight against Latop, to be honest, that was the weakest I've ever seen him look, but he put on a tremendous performance, hitting shots that were... I mean, the way he hit that one hook, and he was like, it came from like behind his back. It was insane. Ruffy is going to be a guy to look out for, and as much as I don't like Bobby Green, he's funny, don't get me wrong. It's just weird that he sounds like an emo kid when he talks. He talks like this, you know, it's weird. I don't know. Bobby Green is a weird dude. He's 32-16. One of the weakest records in the UFC. 11 wins by knockout, 9 by submission, 11 in the first round. He sometimes reminds me of Michael Johnson, although he doesn't have the same mystique, where he can sometimes pull out wins against guys you don't expect him to win against. So Bobby Green is definitely an active underdog in this one. I don't have the odds right now, but I'm assuming he's going to be the underdog with how Ruffy's looked in his performances. And I think he's a very active underdog. I think he definitely could get the win here. He has the fighting experience and the boxing experience to really frustrate Ruffy. And if Latop was able to carry Ruffy to a decision, I think Bobby Green definitely could as well. And it's only a 3-round fight, and Bobby Green puts out a lot of volume. So like I said, he's not as elusive as Michael Johnson, who finds wins over guys and you're like, how the heck did you beat that guy? Like, there's a famous meme out there that Michael Johnson would lose to like Ray Borg, but he would absolutely destroy John Jones. It's a funny meme because that's kind of how Michael Johnson's career has gone. King Green, to a degree as well, kind of finds weird wins sometimes. So I'm betting on Ruffy first round KO, but I hope it's a fun fight. Then we have a women's strawweight bout between the number 5th ranked Amanda Lemos and the number 7th ranked Iasmin Lucindo. Both of these women have a tremendous amount of power, both coming from Brazil. Lucindo, or Lemos, is 14-4. 8 first-round finishes, 8 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, whereas Iasmin, I never know how to say her name, I apologize. She's 17-5, 8 wins by knockout, 3 by submission, 3 in the first round. So thing with Lemos, though, is she has a tremendous amount of power for this weight class. She might be the hardest hitting 115-pound woman I've ever seen. She has a lot of power, and to have that many first-round knockouts, I'm going to take her by first-round knockout as well. I've taken so many Brazilians by first-round knockout today, it's actually insane. But I'm taking Lemos first-round KO. These women are scrappy, man. They bring war, and they both have knockout power. I think one of them's going to go down early. I hope this is a KO fight. I think that's why it's so high on the fight card. But yeah, it should be a banger. Next up, we have a lightweight bout between the number 13th ranked Jalin Turner, and Ignacio Bahamondes. And Bahamondes, stemming from Chile, 16-5, 11 wins by knockout, 1 by submission, 9 in the first round. He had that fight against Torres in September that was absolutely amazing. Jalin Turner, 14-8. Not the greatest UFC career. He's been a little bit spotty. 10 wins by knockout, though, 4 by submission, 11 in the first round. He's incredibly dangerous in the first round. He could easily get this done by knockout in round 1. However, Ignacio Bahamondes is so damn tough. He never lets off the gas, and he will keep walking forward. I think we're going to see a Dan Hooker type fight, and I think we're going to see an upset for Ignacio. I know Jalin Turner is probably going to be the heavy favorite here, and you probably should bet on him. He's still ranked in lightweight, but there's something about Bahamondes, man. After that last fight, I believe it was at the Sphere, there's something different about that kid. He's got that warrior spirit, and I don't know if Jalin Turner has that killer instinct in him. I think that's why he's dropped a couple fights. So I'm going to take Bahamondes by decision this time to kind of stop the KO streak. Next up at lightweight, I don't know how this couldn't end by KO, but I really want it to go to a decision. This is the fight that I'm probably most excited about because of the way it lines up on paper. You have 2 guys with like 2 of the best chins in lightweight, ranked number 3 and number 6, and both of them have power, but not enough power to like completely knock you out. So it should be a long war. Don't get me wrong. Justin Gaethje could knock out Hooker in round 1. I don't know if Dan Hooker could knock out Justin Gaethje in round 1, but Gaethje is also 36 years old now. Hooker's 35. They're both kind of getting up there in age. I think the power is going to come off a little bit. I don't think they're going to have the same pop as when they were 30. And I think this is going to be a war. I really hope it goes to decision. I hope it gets bloody. I hope this is the bloodiest fight in UFC history. It should have been 10 rounds. I'm sure somebody would have died if it was 10 rounds, but this fight, you talk about two warriors who will put their chin on the line, sling it out, and will not stop moving forward. This is the fight. I'm almost more excited for this fight than I was the Tony Ferguson and Gaethje fight. It's kind of the same thing. You have guys that are just built different. They're fighters. They're martial artists too, but they're more so fighters. They're there to get hurt. They want to feel the pain, and they want to deliver pain to the other person. Dan Hooker has already said that he expects to get stretchered out of the arena for this fight. So I'm expecting big things. I hope this is a war. I hope Justin Gaethje doesn't find a knockout early, and I hope it's just back and forth, slinging leather. And this is going to sound so horrible, but I hope both guys leave the octagon with like a tremendous amount of CTE. That's a bad thing to wish on people, but I want war, man. This is the fight that I want war from. There's sometimes fights like that, like the Tony Ferguson Gaethje fight was another one that I clearly remember. Maybe Gaethje and Poirier as well. There's some fights, man, that you just want it to go 5 rounds and you want it to be bloody, close, and just drawn out. You want to see both guys injured, and I want to see that in this fight. I can't wait for it. I don't know what it does for the division. I think Islam Makhachev strangles both of these guys within a round, but it's just going to be such a fun fight. I can't wait for it. If I'm going to break down some of the X's and O's, which I probably should do if I'm doing kind of a fight analysis here for the prediction, there is a couple things that I would look out for. The leg kicks of Justin Gaethje, I don't even have to say that. All of you guys already know that. You need to watch out for those, especially Dan Hooker. He has very long legs, but he does train at City Kickboxing. He's used to it. So he can take leg kicks with the best of them. And I don't think they're going to be too much of a problem, but they might slow Hooker down in the later rounds. And that's where Justin Gaethje could, find some more volume with Hooker slowing down. If he slows down his movement with those leg kicks. The calf kicks from Justin Gaethje, I think he finished 3 fights via leg kicks before he even came into the UFC. His leg kicks are deadly, and they're definitely going to play a factor into this fight. The other thing is the hooks from Dan Hooker. Obviously, he's got the hooks. He's got a very lengthy reach, and he can very sneakily get punches right behind your guard and hit you like right on the ear or right behind the ear. And those can mess you up. And when you're 36 years old, you've been knocked out a couple times, it's possible for Justin Gaethje to get caught with one of those hooks and to go down. The straights from Hooker as well. He has a very, very good jab, and if he keeps Gaethje on the end of it throughout the first couple rounds, he might be able to actually steal the first couple rounds just from the reach advantage that he'll have in this fight. He uses his length very, very well. So it's going to be a very close fight. Both of these guys have two of the best resumes on the entire UFC roster. Both of them have fought just a plethora of legends, winning against some of them, losing against some of them. All the fights have been close or have been, very close up until a devastating knockout. So yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I don't really want to break it down any more than that. I can't wait to watch it. I hope it's messy, honestly. I don't want this to be a technical battle. I want this to be a sloppy slugfest. And like I said, I hope they both come away with a bunch of brain damage. So I don't want to wish that on those human beings. I apologize for saying that, but yeah, I hope this is war. And yeah, moving on, we have the only title fight of the night and the main event, which is the championship bout between Alex Pereira and Magomed Ankalaev for the light heavyweight title. I can't wait for this one. I've been waiting for it for years. Looks like the odds are like dead even. Pereira's a -120 favorite right now, so slight favorite. But man, if you've been watching Ankalaev, if you've been watching him for the last couple of years, this guy, besides losing in the last second to Paul Craig, kind of a fluky loss. We can kind of discard that one and call him undefeated because he was dominating that fight up until that point. He has been running through guys. He's been knocking them out with combinations. And that's one thing, man. If you're fighting Pereira, You can't just hit him once or twice. You can't do what Jiri did and put together a 2 or 3 piece combination. You can't do what Khalil did and reach with your punches. You can't do that. You're going to get caught. What Magomed Ankalaev, I should say, does better than anybody Pereira's ever fought is he puts combinations together and he doesn't reach. He lets the combinations find the distance for him. So he'll throw a 1-2 and then he'll throw a 3 behind it and then you'll follow it up with a head kick. And the combination will flow together smoothly and it'll be fast. So combinations like that, if you can close the distance on Pereira, he's also a lot bigger than Khalil Roundtree, and Khalil Roundtree was able to find his chin a couple times in the first couple rounds. So if Ankalaev is able to put the pressure on Pereira, find those combinations, end them with head kicks, his head kicks are super sneaky. They come out of nowhere, and they're very, very fast. He's knocked out quite a few people with head kicks already. I think Ankalaev actually can find the knockout in this fight. I don't think he has to grapple. He's not really a grappler anyways. He can wrestle. Don't get me wrong. He's a better wrestler than Pereira. If they did a wrestling match tomorrow, Pereira would be cooked. But I don't think Ankalaev is one to go out and to wrestle, dominate anybody. I've never seen him do that to people before. He's taken people down, but he doesn't really take people down and dominate them like the rest of the Dagestani fighters seem to do, like Khabib, Islam, even Umar and Usman to a degree use more takedowns than Ankalaev does. Ankalaev is almost like Magomed Sharipov, the pirate, Bullet. He's a lot like him, where he stands up basically the entire time and he's trying to outstrike you, he's trying to out-kickbox you. Now, some people have been pointing out the leg kicks, that when Ankalaev fought Jan, that the leg kicks were eating him up. Yes, I totally agree. He's going to have to check a lot more leg kicks, but he throws deadly leg kicks of his own. He's hurt people before in fights with his own leg kicks. And don't forget that when John fought Pereira, John was also hitting Pereira with some leg kicks that weren't feeling good for Pereira. So John Blachowicz just is one of those fighters with devastating leg kicks. No matter who he fights, he's going to chop your legs up. He does that to everybody. So I'm not putting too much stock into that. If it was like multiple fights where Ankalaev was getting chewed up on the legs, I'd have a different approach to that, but I think Ankalaev is going to be able to deal with it. They're going to hurt, and they're going to wear him down. Pereira does that to everybody. His leg kicks are probably the best in the entire sport right now, especially with Aldo at the end of his career. He was always my favorite, but I got to give it to Pereira now. Those calf kicks, they are deadly, and they have messed up a lot of people so far. So how can Ankalaev get it done? Well, like I said, the combos, the way that he loops punches, he puts together multiple punch combinations, and his hands are very, very fast. He moves like a welterweight. The head kicks, they will be there. Pereira keeps his hands down. Head kicks will be there, and Ankalaev can kick high. I would like to see him mix in some takedowns, maybe 1 or 2. I don't know if he'll get them. Pereira's takedown defense has looked good, and from the footage that I've seen of him in the gym recently, looks like he's drilling those sprawls pretty well. So I don't think takedowns will be available throughout most of the fight. Maybe he'll get 1 or 2, but he has to do a lot with those takedowns. Now, for Pereira to win, we just need to see him do what he's done last year. 3 fights in a row, knocking everybody out, and absolutely melting people. The Khalil fight was close for the first 2 rounds. I would give Khalil rounds 1 and 2, but after that, Pereira turned it on. He found the zone. He clicked in, locked in, and found everything. He saw everything. He pulled back from every single punch. Nothing hit him, and he melted Khalil, going to the body, going to the head, mixing up the shots perfectly, and he put on a masterclass performance. And he's truly one of the greatest kickboxers of all time, let alone in the UFC. He's one of the greatest kickboxers of all time. So it's going to be very, very difficult to beat him. However, I do think that this is a 50-50, maybe I shouldn't say that. Maybe it's a 52-48 fight. I'd still give a slight edge to Pereira. But it is a very, very close fight, only because Ankalaev puts combinations together. He has very fast hands. It reminds me of Tom Aspinall sometimes when he's throwing punches. It's just very, very quick. Everything's very fluid and put together. And those head kicks are very, very sneaky. So, plus you have the Dagestani mindset. He still has that. He might not be training with Khabib and Islam every day, but he still trains with Dagestanis, and he has that mindset. They've curated something in Dagestan that is very unique. Again, I will have a documentary out on Dagestan in the coming months. I'm still working on it. I want it to be perfect for you guys. But the Dagestanis have fostered something there in Dagestan. They fostered a mentality that nobody else on the planet has. And Ankalaev, like I said, besides that one fluky loss, he's been pretty much consistent in just dominating everybody. So I think if he goes out there with the mindset of I'm gonna do to Pereira what I've done to everybody else, and he goes out there and he hits first, he goes first, I think he actually can get this done. I think he has more power than Khalil. I think he arguably has more power than Jiri, although it's very, very close. I wouldn't say that for certain. And he's definitely more fluid and better with his combinations than Jiri. So it's going to be a very, very fun fight. Pereira, all that he has to do is chop down with the legs, keep Ankalaev at range, and try to land those hooks as he's coming in. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough because watching those Pereira fights against Izzy is such a high-level kickboxer, and he struggled with him at times, but then he also found success, and in ways that Izzy found success with combinations. I think Ankalaev can find similar success in this fight. So I really think it's a close fight. I'm not going to say that it's a lock for Pereira. I don't think you should bet the house on Pereira. Not for this fight. Maybe for the last Jiri fight, I would bet the house on Pereira, but not for this fight. This fight is not a fight that I would bet on. It's too damn close. It's hard to call. I would love to hear what you guys think down below in the comments. Let me know how you guys see the fight. How do you see it going? How would you break it down? Where do you think Alex Pereira has his pros, and what can he succeed at in the fight? And where do you think Ankalaev might upset? I love hearing from you guys, so let me know down below in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends to help boost this channel and the algorithm. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, means the world to me. Enjoy the fights. I'll catch you guys in the next one, or I guess in the breakdown video. Yeah, peace.